welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Vintage at the request of Patreon subscriber Gobi, and this is Esper Lurrus Time Vault combo. On the surface, this just looks like Esper Lurrus. We have the mother herself, Lurrus. We've got 4 Psychic Frogs, some solid removal, 7 Forces, the same basic mana base. But then if you look a little closer, it's pretty different. Instead of any number of Orcish Bowmaster, there is a bunch of cards that feed you Time Vault. I'm struggling to get all the cards on the screen right now because of the shape of Vintage decks. Let's read Time Vault and then make it look nice again. Time Vault enters tapped, doesn't untap during untap step. If you would start a turn, you can untap this instead and skip that turn, and it has tap take an extra turn. Generally, we don't untap it by skipping turns, we untap it by targeting it with Manifold Key. Manifold Key plus Time Vault is infinite turns, and from there you can figure out how you're going to win. Time Vault was the win condition, or a win condition, in Esper and Dimir Lurrus back before Urza's Saga was restricted in Vintage, when you had 4 easy ways to come up with the key. Where'd it go? There it is. All right. When you had 4 easy ways to come up with the key in your deck, it was a lot more justifiable to play Vamp Tutor, a card that is not played in Lurrus control, and things like Oswald Fiddlebender, to make your way to the Time Vault. Here we have to work kind of hard to get both pieces, which is not ideal. However, 4 copies of Stock Up is a lot. I've played a lot of Esper Lurrus control lately, and when my opponent starts chaining Stock Ups together is when I feel the game start to slip away. It's a pretty strong mirror breaker in the Esper Lurrus world. And to turn on the Stock Up, there's way more artifact mana in this build than there is in Esper Lurrus. Esper and Dimir Lurrus usually just play their on-color Moxen plus Black Lotus. This one has all 5 Moxen plus Mana Crypt and Soul Ring. We're really trying to get these Stock Ups stocking. Once you find the key or the vault, then Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, and Oswald Fiddlebender are pretty good at finding the other one. Oswald is a permanent you can replay with Lurrus. Time Vault is a permanent you can replay with Lurrus. And of course, we just have this big boat of Psychic Frogs where your opponent has to respect those or else get buried by the traditional Esper Lurrus control strategy. I am really interested in this because I've noticed that some Esper Lurrus control decks are playing a 4th Mox now to support more Stock Ups as an edge in the mirror. And this is a full commitment to that. And when I'm testing something, I like to do it more than I think I should. Like if I think 2 Stock Ups and 1 extra Mox might be good in Esper Lurrus, I'll test with 5 Moxen and 4 Stock Ups just to see that play pattern more often. And here we get to do that, and we have a really good reason for doing it. We're not just testing, we're actually trying to make a combo happen. I really like Esper Lurrus. I really like combo control decks. Let's do it. I'm on the play in round 1. I've revealed my cat. My opponent does not have a cat. I'm going to keep on the strength of Vexing Bauble. Most decks don't want to see a turn 1 Vexing Bauble, and especially non-Lurrus decks. The reason not to play Lurrus is because you want big, expensive, flashy permanents in your deck, and in order to cast those, you need lots of fast mana. I had a game at the Steel City Spectacular where I was on the play game 3 against White Initiative, and I had turn 1 Vexing Bauble, and they did not cast a spell for 8 or 10 turns. They played Wasteland and just passed while I built out my board, and then they played an Ancient Tomb at some point, and then they were never able to cast a spell. At the end of the game, they showed me 4 Moxen, Black Lotus, and Solitude in their hand. I'm hoping for that high roll here. Mox Sapphire. Opponent appears to be F6'd. Yeah, that just resolved immediately. And then I can cycle for Underground Sea and get Frog going. I can even put something in the P-hole. Welcome back to having Portable Hole in my deck. There's going to be a lot of P-hole jokes. Get ready. Undercity Sewer out of a non-Lurrus strategy. Doomsday or Blue Tinker are my immediate thoughts. I'll get this Underground Sea. Heck yeah. We're straight up frogging it. They didn't give me anything to Portable Hole. unfortunately. But if they have their own frogs or whatever, I'm good. Yeah, Time Walk's fine. I can pop my bauble and force things if there becomes an emergency, but I really don't even know what that looks like. Like if they cast Doomsday right now, I think I'd still rather have Vexing Bauble in play. All right, let's game. Because Gush, Black Lotus, Force of Will, these are all things that are commonly in Doomsday piles that I still think I benefit more from having Bauble in play than trying to fight over this without Bauble in play. My Kingdom for Lavinia. Okay, so I see that Time Walk is highlighted. That means Time Walk's going into their pile. You're technically supposed to do that in paper too. If you're selecting something from a face-up zone, it's supposed to be known. I don't know that most people know that or that most Doomsday pilots do it. I do need a little bit of help here, like another Force or like Ancestral that I could target them with when they can't fight over it. Those are good things. This frog is not going to solo the game. They do go to 9 life. I can discard at least Portable Hole to get some extra power on my frog. I get a draw step for turn, and I can crack Bauble. That can give frog 6 power, but then my whole hand is gone. I don't think that's the way to do this. If I draw Time Walk, I win. If I draw a Tutor, the Tutor can get Ancestral to send at their face when they're out of cards in their deck. That's a plan. Okay, they've made their pile. Consult is out, they're not doing that. Gush, Black Lotus, yeah, all these things that would normally be good are bad. Let's do Force of Will count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and Misstep's gone too. I might be able to actually crack my Bauble for value here, because all their forces are counted for. Yeah, I'm just going to crack my Bauble. That's a pretty good spread. I'm going to discard Portable Hole. I won't need that. I have Force Blue card, Force Blue card. Pithing Needle, fascinating. Okay, hold on. How many Street Wraiths are in the exile here? 1, 2, 3, 4. All of them? Okay, what does Pithing Needle name against Doomsday when they don't have Street Wraiths in their deck? Where's their Polluted Deltas? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, all their Deltas are here too. Yeah, Pithing Needle might just be better as stats on my frog. I can play around Flusterstorm better if I don't buy Lurrus, but buying Lurrus does put another card in my hand to make Frog bigger. Alright, I'm just going to pass. Underground Sea from hand. Vintage Doomsday doesn't usually play the Cavern of Souls that Legacy does. I don't think I'm fighting this Time Walk. Yeah, go ahead. Ancestral Recall targeting yourself. Mental Misstep, leaving up the mana to pay for Flusterstorm. Paying the life here. Okay, we go into their walk turn. They've got 3 cards in their deck and 4 cards in their hand after this draw step. A fetch land. This can fetch down to 2 cards in deck if they have a fetchable land left. Consider... Now this is actually interesting. If the Thassa's Oracle is already in their hand, and I force Consider, I lose. But if they Consider into Flusterstorm, then play Thassa's Oracle, I can still force the Oracle... Or no, the Fluster will be for 4 at that point. Okay, I think this is my fight. I hope the Oracle's just not in their hand already or I lose here. But they did solve it otherwise. Ponder shit. Alright, well, we're in trouble. We've lost. I guess if I force the Time Walk and then misstep the Ancestral, they would have to have Flusterstorm in their hand already, and then I would get a hit with Frog. Maybe I threw this. It's tough playing against Doomsday players who know what they're doing. Gitaxian Probe, yeah, you can see. You win. Alright, GG. To the sideboard, I get Flusters, I get Consigns. I don't care about most of these cards. Like, Deafening Silence could make things awkward for them a little, but it also makes things a little awkward for me. But I can control if I play this card or not. That's a maybe. I don't think I need these creature removal spells. Pithing Needle not very good here either. I guess the question is, do I want to leave in 1 Plow in case they have a Murktide pivot? Or have Deafening Silence? I think I'd rather have 1 Plow in my deck. Alright, let's do it. If I knew that they just didn't have any Force of Wills in their hand, I would have popped my Bauble and fought over the Doomsday, but it's so hard to know that is true. Like, once the Doomsday resolves and I see 4 Forces, Gush, and Lotus all in exile, it's like, what was I even bobbling for? But you can't know that, especially turn 1 on the play. You just have to imagine you've locked a card or two under that thing. All right, I will keep this hand. This is a turn 1 stock up with Force of Will. Pearl, Sapphire, Underground Sea, Stonks. I want Mental Misstep and Psychic Frog, I guess. Oswald can get me to Time Vault combo on way too late. Yeah, all right, Misstep and Frog are what I'm taking. And pass. Got a Polluted Delta. Misstep the Duress. Black Lotus. I'm not going to fight over that. If they cast Doomsday with it, I'll force the Doomsday. All right, yeah, that was a pretty good opening hand. We have fended it off. Ooh, all right. I don't think holding back Frog as my blue card is better than developing Frog. If they have a second send, they kept turn 1 Duress Lotus Doomsday. If they have Dark Ritual Doomsday cantrip here, good job, you deserve it. Fatal Push, disappointing. Is there Surveillant in this build? There is not. Okay. But I also don't want to draw lands, so I'll fetch a Underground Sea. I don't really need a lot of white mana, and I have one already. I'll just get Sea. All right. Consigned to Memory is also my blue spell for Force. Both of those are pretty good. My next mana gets me Psychic Frog out of the graveyard. Just value consider. Dumped a Flusterstorm. Another consider. Kept the card. Terrifying. A Frog. Okay, I'm going to play Lurrus and leave Force Blue card plus Consign in my hand, rather than play the Frog. Upkeep Vamp Tutor. Go for it. So this is card disadvantage in a spot where every card is important. They're obviously going to get something good, but anything that is down a card for them is good news for me. Treasure Cruise. I'll force that, pitching the Frog. I've got a Frog in my graveyard. Consigned to Memory is still really good on its own. They surveilled away Moxjet. Ooh, hello, hello. How do I want to do this? I could tutor for Time Walk and just hit them twice with Lurrus. I could tutor for Ancestral and reload. I could also play Frog this turn, hold up Consign not to die, and then DT for Time Walk next turn when Frog's also in play. I like that the most. I think that they are struggling to get something together over there. Take your time. Okay. We fended off one busted draw spell to get got by another, but I'd rather have them only have dig instead of cruise into dig. And they had to tap out to do it. And delete their whole graveyard, which includes Black Lotus, which now can't be in future Doomsday piles. They're passing to me. I like Flusterstorm. I'll attack here and hopefully draw a source of mana. That is a source of mana, but does it work how I need it to? It does. Okay. Soul Ring. Demonic Tutor. Time Walk with Flusterstorm still up. Time Walk. Walk. It's another crunch of damage, another Frog trigger. Oh, I actually missed a point of damage. I could have discarded Soul Ring to Frog and replayed it with Lurrus, which is the same thing as just playing it on a turn where I wasn't going to Lurrus anyway. All right, a little bit loose there. How do I want to use this Soul Guide Lantern? I could tap Pearl to play it. Oh, wait. Literally the thing I just said. Literally, or wait. I could draw 2 cards with it right now. All right, that's better. Soul Guide Lantern, exile your dig, draw a card with Lantern. Saga, heck yeah. Replay Lantern. This time it was worth a card to play it this way, but last turn I did just miss a +1 counter. Okay, they're in bad shape, but they did just resolve a dig. Time Walk. I've been tricked by this card before. I don't think it's a trick this time. Brainstorm, go for it. The aggressive line there is to just fluster the Time Walk, untap, and kill them. But if they followed up with Dark Ritual Doomsday, force backup, then I could actually lose this game. Okay, I missed a point of damage there, but otherwise, pretty clean dismantling of what they're doing. Yeah, I think these are the cards that I have that I want to play. It's just the Swords of Plowshares. Do I think they have a Murktide Regen or a Sheoldred or some juke? And having 1 card's worth of respect for that, I think, is responsible. Oh, this hand is a blue card away from being good. How many blue cards do I play? I have 23 blue cards, plus I sideboarded in 3 more, 26. I didn't cut any blue cards, so I have 25 draws. That is damn near half my deck. And Frog is a blue card in an emergency. All right, I'll keep. Fetching this Frog, my hand becomes pretty trash pretty quick. However, I think it's fine. Undercity Sewers tapped. The deck gave me Flusterstorm. That one's pretty good. Do I want to strip mine? They just binned an Underground Sea, which is not something that someone who needs mana does. I don't have another blue available. I could just turn one Psychic Frog here and hope they don't have the immediate way to kill me. I'll do that, actually. Yeah, everything is better with Frog in play. That's just how these decks work. You're set up to do this. If they bully through a force to kill me turn 2 on a Multi 6, they deserve it. Ponder. They tap for black first and then tap for blue. I don't know if that indicates they just mistapped on Magic Online or if they were thinking about Dark Ritualing and then figured might as well look for a counterspell first. I'm going to try not to read too much into that because that's an easy mistake to make. Didn't shuffle their Ponder. Fetched. Now they do have a black card to play. It is Dark Ritual. It is Doomsday. I will force. Sad to lose the Flusterstorm, but I made my case for deploying Frog. I still think it's right. Lorien. Okay, I'm going to attack first because if I spike a blue source off Frog, I can draw 3 right now. The strength of having this much fast mana in your deck is that Lorien Revealed is just on turn 2. Okay, that did not materialize. I could get and play Lurrus here. There's Lurrus. I could play Strip Mine to cast Lurrus with and get the extra point off Mana Crypt being replayed, but I think that's bad in this case. Like, I'd rather just have Lurrus in play and be able to strip my opponent here. Cycling Street Wraith in response. They might be looking for a Gush there. And I would actually rather have Lorien Revealed in my hand than cycle it with my floating mana. I'm so close to casting it. Oh, do they have another Send? Well, we're gaming. Dark Ritual Doomsday, Dark Ritual Doomsday. They go to 8 off of this Doomsday. On 2 cards in hand, that's a lot harder to make something happen than on even 4 cards in hand. To Gush, they would need Land Gush exactly as the last 2 cards in their hand. If Black Lotus is just already... If they have a Street Wraith in their hand, but they just cycled 1 to bring this together. If they have a Street Wraith, they could Wraith into Lotus. Lotus casts whatever their last card is. I don't know, there's ways this falls apart. They're also not dead on board. We'll see how this goes. If I draw the blue source for Lorien Revealed before combat, I can put them to 1 by discarding all the cards I draw. And if those cards go +1 card in any way, like stock up in Ancestral, anything like that, then it's lethal. Putting them to 1 takes Street Wraith, Force of Will, Fetch lands all out of the pool of cards they could have. Alright, well, there's the Exile pile. I am getting a turn. And Wasteland's probably good here too. I lost my Crypt Flip. I don't think that's what the game's going to be about. Okay, unfortunately I drew Mox Pearl. That is worth a damage. Okay, I'm going to attack and hope this Frog delivers something useful. Alright, I'll take a Wasteland. Play Mox Pearl from the graveyard. Waste you. Hope you need that mana. Though, they might not. Pass. Oh, we got the GGs. Was that enough? Okay, it looks like they did not put an extra mana in the pool, and we just barely got away with that one. So this was not a matchup where we're going to feature the combo half of the deck. It's a combo control deck, and some matchups, like dedicated combo decks, you just settle into the full control role. Honestly, I think I could have boarded out Vault Key in this matchup, even if I needed more space, and it would have been fine. However, this massive output of mana, turn 1 stocking up, that's not something that Esper Lurrus can traditionally do. So that part did feel good. On to the next one. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in round 2. Everyone's got cats. I'm going to keep my hand. This hand is actually very good if they're on Lurrus control, because not getting mana screwed and not instantly losing to Psychic Frog are the two things you have to do in the mirror. If they're Lurrus PO, my hand is bad. Like, big, big bad. I'm thinking about playing Wasteland here versus Polluted Delta, or just Tundra. Alright, I'm actually just going to play Tundra. And the reason for that is my opponent likely wants to fetch Undercity Sewer, which didn't happen. Okay, good to know. If they just Wasteland me, I have land drops to make, that's okay. If we just go back and forth, wasting each other, I think that ultimately favors me, because I have so many lands in my hand. Because Wasteland is a land. At the fundamental level, Wasteland, the magic card, when you Wasteland your opponent, you both go down a land. It's not just like Stone Rain out of your hand where you get to keep all your lands. So in a pseudo Wasteland mirror, it could be very important that they spent that land that they didn't know they would need. Oh, okay. Mox Sapphire was actually a bonkers draw here because I wanted to plow and waste them. I guess I can't really do that anyway because I want black mana at some point. Do I want to put Frog in a hole? And how badly do I want black mana? I could value Time Walk here. Alright, I think I'm going to Portable Hole. If they fight over this, I'll just fluster their force and we can play on. Misstep is particularly obnoxious. Alright, I'll fluster the Misstep. I need the Frog gone. That's non-negotiable. And then if they force again after this fluster resolves, then I have another plow. I hope they do have a force. Portable Hole is back on the stack. Force of Negation pitching Luring revealed. Okay, I guess I don't get an Underground Sea this game. Swords to Plowshares. I'm doing this now before they untap and represent Spell Pierce and Flusterstorm, even though that does let them Force of Negation when they otherwise would not be able to. Alright, so it seems they've got nothing. Oh, don't main phase Ancestral me. Alright, cool. I'm going to take them off white. White is the color of their removal, and Oswald is my plan here. Okay, I don't care about Bowmaster. I might, if I draw certain cards, start to care about Bowmaster, but if I'm going to just bend fiddles on my way up to Time Vault combo, I have the biggest creature in play, and I have an infinite combo that I can go for. Mox Pearl. Alright, now I have a straight path to where I want to be. Mox Pearl. This is activate as a sorcery. Alright, I'm going to bend Pearl into probably Soul Ring. I'll get Soul Ring, and then I'll cast Time Walk and put Lurrus in my hand. Mana well spent. Go to my walk turn. A land. Does this help me? I can play Lurrus and see what happens. Alright, this unlocked my black mana. I'll take it. Black, blue, white, Lurrus. Float 2 with Soul Ring, turn Soul Ring into Time Vault, replay Soul Ring from the graveyard with Lurrus, spell piercing my Soul Ring, sure. You got it. Alright, I am way ahead here. If they kill Oswald, I have Lurrus. Alright, unlocking the white here is huge. What do they got? Dig Through Time with this mana? Alright, well, Dig Through Time has to hit Pearl Plow here, or like Lotus Walk and try again. They're operating from tiny resources. Sapphire doesn't cast the cards I'm worried about. Brainstorm. They could have off this Sapphire Ancestral me, and then Bowmaster could kill Oswald, but then I just replay Oswald from the graveyard and beat them with my 3 extra cards. Sweet. Alright, that was a nice little Oswald game. It is Esper, Lurrus control. I want my Swords to Plowshares in. I'll consider Flusterstorm. Force of Negation sucks real bad. And none of these other cards really matter. There's not a ton of additional removal in this deck. In the Esper Lurrus build I've been playing, I have like pushes and dismembers and all sorts of good stuff to come in for the mirror. And this deck doesn't have that, but it does outmuscle the pseudo mirror with, like I was saying in the deck tech, 4 stock ups and the full spread of fast mana. We have a different thing that we're playing towards here, while still having many of the same tools. Alright, I have a Swords to Plowshares. Surviving that first Psychic Frog is the box you got to check first. Ooh, big old Oswald is here. Right, land, Ruby. Little awkward running the Manifold key out because a lot of these lists are playing one Prismatic Ending somewhere in the 75 and Force of Negation, which should be boarded out, but they know I have a combo pivot, so maybe they didn't board it out. But a lot of Vault Tinker decks play a Karn, so they can get a card that gets exiled, whether through Force of Negation or counter Tormod Script or whatever, however it ends up there. They don't just lose their combo to an exile. I don't have anything like that. Tundra Jet, Psychic Frog, Wasteland, yuck. Okay, I have white cards I want to play, and I don't have a counterspell backup anyway. I'm just going to plow this frog in the end step. Right, they're just wasting me. Moment of Truth, Force of Will, Mental Misstep are devastating. Anything else is fine. Yikes. All right, Force Pitching, Spell Pierce. Got some work to do. I'm going to have to cycle... I don't have to do it yet. I'm going to have to cycle Lorien Revealed for a white source. Like, I don't even have the ability to cast Oswald here, which is a shame because I already have the key. And now I'm behind a Psychic Frog. Opponent had to go pretty low to get to this point, but this point spirals out pretty quick once you're at it. Another Wasteland. That's mostly fine. I'm more worried about my colors than my raw quantity of mana. Though they both do matter eventually. Hitting Needle on Manifold Key, probably. Yep. Alright, now I got another problem to solve. Okay, how much mana do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could just cruise here. Or I could play Oswald. I'm going to start with Soul Ring. That's the play either way. And I'm going to go Oswald. Tutoring Portable Hole can get rid of the frog, which I'm more worried about than the Pithing Needle. Alright, never mind. No, it can't. Alright, they're down to one card in hand. They get to draw, then they get to frog. They'll have 3 cards when I go into my turn. The third Wasteland's pretty rough. I'm gonna have to cruise my way out of this. Sapphire is great. Now I don't need to commit my land yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If they have Flusterstorm, they got me. They don't have Flusterstorm. Probe you. They're just F6'd. They've got a Lavinia that they couldn't cast. Lavinia Underground Sea is their hand, so I've got some action here. Black Lotus, obviously a good card. Mox Jet. Get Lurrus. Play Lurrus. Black Lotus off of Lurrus. Strip mine your white, lock up that Lavinia, and turn off Swords to Plowshares. Okay, I'm still behind a Psychic Frog, but now I have Lurrus going, and I know their hand isn't good. Obviously can't block here. Psychic Frog is unblockable. I think if Lurrus had Death Touch instead of Lifelink, I would make this trade here. But obviously that's not what the card does. They discarded Basic Island to push more damage. Choosing to push damage versus a lifelink creature is interesting. The only card in their hand I have to worry about is Orcish Bowmaster. But that card is really good, but yeah, whatever, attack. I'm not going to not attack. Alright, well, they drew the best card in their deck. That's fine. Lurrus was barely doing anything here. I mean, it's not fine, it sucks, but as far as making the play that keeps me in the game versus playing scared of the best draw in their deck, if they draw the best card in your deck, you lose anyway. Who cares? If Lurrus had something to draw cards with, alright, we've lost this game. Like, if Lurrus had something to draw cards with, I would still lose Lurrus to Bowmaster, because I crack my Soul Guide Lantern, whatever, draw a card, and then they play it in response and ping Lurrus twice. There was no beating that card in that position. And when you can't beat a card, you just pretend they don't have it. Alright, I mean, Seal of Cleansing is another answer to something like Pithing Needle, but it mostly seems pretty bad, and not what I want to be doing. What I want to be doing is resolving lots of stock-ups. There's a stock-up. My opponent did not reveal Lurrus. What does that mean? Was that a misclick, or have they changed their deck in some meaningful way? I don't know what that means. I'm going to keep my hand, though. Yeah, there's no companion here. Leyline of the Void is the only card I can think of that would switch a Lurrus deck out of a Lurrus deck, and they obviously wouldn't bring it in here. Okay, yeah, they said there was lag on their Lurrus click, and they messed it up. Well, I mean, I have a massive advantage now, but it doesn't matter if they run me over with the cards that they have. Like, last game, they didn't need their Lurrus to beat me. Ruby. All right, well, I'm going to start stocking up. Do I want to stock up? I could just invest the Time Vault. All right, I'm doing that, actually. I shouldn't have fetched if I was doing this. I should have thought about it a little longer. I just don't want stock up to get lost to a Spell Pierce. That is a really sloppy fetch, though, because if they can waste me off white, then I don't have any protection against a Psychic Frog. Lavinia. Okay, that one I can beat. I am not going to untap Time Vault, though this is the type of game where doing that could become reasonable. Like if they're just playing Drago, missing land drops or whatever, banking an extra turn can be huge. Plow your Lavinia. Cycle Lorien. I'm going to get another white, make sure I don't get taken off of my more important color. Now I'm hurting a little bit for action. It depends on what their follow-up is. If they have Frog, I have to think really hard about how and when I want to force it. If they have nothing, then I might just untap my Time Vault. They had Wasteland. Ugh, all right. Well, I hate this. If I pitch stock up, then I'm going to win the fight because of Flusterstorm. If I pitch Flusterstorm and lose the fight, then they just have this freaking frog. All right. I'm going to force pitching stock up and hope they force back. Okay, they did force back. Fluster your force. They also pitched stock up. Interesting. Okay. Do they have another force blue card? If they do, I'm in a lot of pain. Okay, they did not. I am not going to skip this turn. I need my opponent to demonstrate they're not doing anything before I'm willing to skip a turn. I drew a frog, but they wasted me correctly last turn. Okay, land go. Island. Just running Lurrus out here is not good. I get no value off it, and if they have just a Swords to Plowshares, it's gone. And then them misclicking their Lurrus is lost advantage. Then we both just have a Lurrus that didn't do anything. Pithing Needle. I'm glad I didn't skip a turn. That would have been awkward. All right, they're just naming Time Vault. Heads up on that one. Realizing that me skipping a turn might be something I want to do at some point. Oh, we're in there. All right. Frog, get in. My opponent is operating with perfect info here. Swords to Plowshares immediately. They've got one card left. All right, whatever. Lurrus, do something. And even if they plow Lurrus immediately, Lurrus still got plow. Like, it's always worth a card. And unlike the previous game, right now, me ramming Lurrus into Orcish Bowmaster is just bad. All right, they drew another frog. I do play many ways to remove this. Can we find one? Sick. All right, plow your frog. Am I playing around Bowmaster still? That's just so bad if they have it. But I'm wasting so much time if they don't. All right, Lurrus, get in. Don't fetch, don't fetch. No! Okay, only white mana. That's fine. All right, I am going to play this out because fetching a land out of my deck actually matters here. We're both just face up, down and dirty. Null Rod, okay. That is redundant with the Pithing Needle. All right, give me something to do with Lurrus. All right, that counts. They didn't have Bowmaster last turn, and now I am in business. Yeah, and really important to note, they've passed with a bunch of open mana up for the last several turns. They would have been able to deploy their Lurrus and play Psychic Frog out of their graveyard if, you know, they hadn't misclicked. So this game, we're at the point where that is devastating. Okay, they found a Bowmaster. That's annoying. Well, I'm going to lose my Lurrus here. They're making a game out of it all the same. I'm not going to jump my frog. Let's have a fight. Okay, because if they want to fight with my frog, then they don't kill Lurrus. Okay. Just passing priority on this. Fascinating. All right, well, I'll pass. That was a weird sequence. They had the chance to kill Lurrus and decided to deny me a random card off the top of my deck instead. And now I get to keep Lurrus and make decisions knowing that Bowmaster's in play. Time Walk. We like that one. All right, do I just attack with both? Do I think they have another Bowmaster here? Does it matter if they do? I think it doesn't matter if they do. I'm going to attack with both my creatures. Okay, no blocks. I get a draw. They get an Orc Army. Pithing Needle. Why is that in my deck? I just didn't have more things to cut, is the answer. Okay, they went face with the Orc Army. Time Walk. Force of negation on the hard cast, sure. I have action here with Lurrus. Discard Pithing Needle. Play Pithing Needle. I don't even know what I named. Does any card matter here? Like, I don't care if they wasteland me. All the artifacts I would normally name with this don't matter. How many wastelands have they drawn this game? 1, and I've drawn 0. If I name Psychic Frog, then mine can't jump, but their future ones can't get any bigger. Yeah, I don't think this matters. I can't think of a card that this is important about. How many Flooded Strands are in my deck? I'm playing 1 Flooded Strand and it's already in the graveyard. They have a Flooded Strand in the graveyard already. Alright, I'm just going to name Wasteland, whatever. Alright, that was the hardest decision of this game so far. They played Underground Sea. They've got 6 mana now. Time Twister, holy smokes. That's actually really good. Alright, well, I'll discard my Mental Misstep. Alright, well, they get to twist. I'm looking for... I was looking for Swords to Plowshares and didn't find it. They get to kill Lurrus here. And then we have an interesting dancer on the frog. And then they can attack me for 9, 10, 9. Alright, this is a bunch to my face and 2 on Lurrus. Well, I can't stop that from happening. The fresh 7, though, while I have Psychic Frog in play, they are dead on the backswing if they don't do something here. And my Lurrus connected so many times, I was at 30 life when this started. It's not the combo kill it usually is, but they just need a removal spell of any variety, and life gets harder for me. This Ancestral's pretty awkward because of the Bowmaster. Your own frog. I don't like that, but I like my frog enough. My frog is just bigger. Okay, it's my turn now. I have 3 things that are free to discard a frog. I think I want to Demonic for a removal spell, or I want to waste them first. Oh, right, I fucking can't because of my own stupid thing. All right, well, I'll tap Wasteland for mana. Good job, me. A Demonic Tutor. Portable Hole removes the frog without gaining them any life. That comes with the risk of if it's removed, they get their frog back, but what card did they play that could do that? Portable Hole also plays around Flusterstorm. Right, P-Hole. Force of Negation. I'll Force of Will back. This is the fight here. Pitching my frog. They force back again. I can Ancestral, so I will. Bowmaster will trigger here, but that has to be fine. I found the Flusterstorm. That's what we're looking for, team. They've got 2 cards left in their hand. All right, where are these counters going? Their Force of Negation's on my Portable Hole. Their Force of Will's on my Force of Will. Okay, so I'm going to fluster Force of Negation. I can fluster the Force of Negation and the Force of Will. Okay, I mixed it up a little bit. And now it comes down to, do they have Swords to Plowshares as one of the last cards in their hand? The Portable Hole's in, take your Psychic Frog, discard Mox, Crypt, Ring, Jump, and Attack. I didn't have to discard all those, they took 1 from their force. Yeah! Alright, what a battle. That Time Twister turned a non-game into suddenly something very serious. The impact of Time Vault on this game was really interesting because I drew basically some blank shitty cards in multiple games. Like I had Manifold Key in one of the earlier games. I had Time Vault in this entire game. Neither one ever did anything. However, my opponent did have cards like Pithing Needle and Null Rod in their deck, which stopped me from doing this. But if having Time Vault in play makes them play out 2 blank cards, or they play a blank card to blank my blank card, it kind of evens out. I don't know. We also saw Force of Negation still in their list after board, which is not how I would play an Esper Lurrus Mirror. But because I have some combo stuff, they had to respect that. Like, they haven't seen my list. They just saw that I have Time Vault, and Time Vault means combo, right? So they have some weird choices in their deck, like Null Rod, Force of Negation, and Pithing Needle that wouldn't otherwise normally be there. Interesting texture we're creating with having weird cards in the deck. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3 versus a Zerta the Dawnwaker. Holy smokes. Haven't seen that card revealed since it was banned in Legacy by anyone. This is actually interesting because my hand clearly has problems, but what is in a Zerta deck? It's got to be some sort of Basalt Monolith combo deck, right? And Double Force, Wasteland, even Pithing Needle all seem solid there. I am going to keep this against medical advice just based on the vibes of the companion that was revealed. And I'm going to play Soul Guide Lantern on 1 because that can draw a card next turn. Each permanent card in your starting deck has to have an activated ability. Mana Crypt, yep, that has activated abilities. Like, this can't be Initiative, it can't be Sphere Shops, it can't even really be Jewel Shops. At least not as traditionally constructed. I'm going to let this stock up Resolve. I'm saving these for things that kill me. Bolus's Citadel has an activated ability. Time Vault does. Manifold Key does. Each permanent card, so we don't have to count out like Sink into Stupor. Glaring Fleshraker does not have an activated ability. That's a real one to point out. They can't have Trinisphere or spheres of any kind. It's a Fairy Time Raveler. Hate that. Alright, well. Worst pitching Psychic Frog. I'm just really far away from casting that card. Displacer Kitten does not have activated abilities, so that Teferi really is just a check. This could be like some blue Belcher deck. Okay, we've got to my turn. I drew another Force. I'm going to draw a card. Bowmaster doesn't have activated abilities. Hull Breacher doesn't. Okay. Awkward, but we're still in mostly the same spot we were on turn 1. Lorien Revealed. Cycling is an activated ability. That's also not a permanent, so it doesn't matter. Underground Sea. Tutored for Karn the Great Creator. Force of Negation, pitching Force of Will. I still have dreams of stocking up. I want to pitch that last. Karn's in exile now. Time Walk, sure. They haven't showed me a color of mana yet that casts Zerta. And I guess Mox Pearl's in play. Yogwill. Well, I'm officially out of gas now. They've got 1 card left in hand, but they can grab Zerta. Oh, Stock Up's a nasty one to have as your last card. Okay. I think my gamble of keeping a hand with 3 forces has failed. They tested me too many times. Oh my goodness. Okay. Black or white? More important. Probably black. Yeah, that turns on all my tutors. Zerta's activated abilities. Target creature can't block. That doesn't matter. Do I want to name like Time Vault here and make sure I don't get got that way? Yeah, I guess I'll just name something that is probably in their deck. Alright, yeah, I just needled Time Vault. Awkwardly a card that's in my deck as well, but I'm not close to using it. I just want to figure out what their deck actually does. I could have named Goblin Charbelcher, I guess. P.O. Yeah, that works. That's legal. Ancestral. Well, I've definitely lost, but I want to see how their deck actually wins so I can sideboard appropriately. Tezzeret works here. Yeah, that's really interesting. Being Tez P.O., but playing Zerta instead of Lurrus. Because one of the problems with Tez is that it rules out Lurrus. Zerta is obviously much worse than Lurrus, but it does enable some combos and also let you have a Tez PO deck. Another PO for 5. Karn is in exile. That's a win con that a Tez PO deck would play. Karn's in exile and Time Vault's turned off. I mean, they're going to draw their deck this turn, but I don't know, figure it out. Moxen coming back down. They go up, they go down. Who can explain this? Oh, I like the 1 Mox Sapphire that looks good among all the other MTGO Moxen that look weird. And then the Masterpiece Soul Ring in the mix. Got the full spread of what you could do with your Moxen on Magic Online. Tons of mana floating. 30 cards left in the deck. PO for a gajillion. 20 cards in hand, 23 in deck. They're almost even Steven over there. Chain of Vapor. Well, I'm not going to bounce any of their things. All right, Chain of Vapor will show me Time Vault. I still want to see a win con, though I guess Zerta is a face-up win con. Demonic Tutor. This sets up Time Vault. I am going to play this out until they get Zerta. Like, if they just immediately buy into play Zerta, I'll concede. But if they play it out and show me even one additional card, okay, Tezzeret. Vault. All right, Tezzeret is a win con. They don't have to show me anything else. Tez confirmed. Okay, Deafening Silence looks pretty good here. Flusterstorm, Stony Silence, Seal of Cleansing. Serenity's kind of slow. This is more for the shops decks than it is for the PO decks. I don't think I'm that interested in that. Stony Silence is a card that I have a fraught relationship with. People play this in white decks over Null Rod because they think it's harder to kill than a Null Rod, but I don't think that's even true anymore. Back in the olden days, if like some decks played like Ancient Grudge or various shatter effects to deal with hate pieces, but now answers are so good that I don't even think that lines up and makes sense anymore. I actually think I'm going to cut my Vault Key and just be the control deck here. I'm bringing in Stony Silence, which steps on my own stuff. Anyway, to finish that thought, Nature's Claim, Chain of Vapor, Seal of Cleansing, Portable Hole, and people aren't like playing Hurkyl's Recall anymore that could clear Null Rod or be Ritual. That's just not how Magic really works. So I think that in the matchups where you want Null Rod, you want it so reliably that if I have a hand that's like Underground Sea, Mox Jet, Stony Silence, and I can't Null Rod on turn 1 because I have the white Null Rod instead of the colorless one, that's not worth the squeeze of whatever you get from this being an enchantment. Okay, Vamp Tutor can come out. I want the Consigns because they have Tez. Soul Guide Lantern doesn't matter. I think I can cut Mana Crypt if I'm bringing in Stony Silences. Pithing Needle can name Tez or Mana Vault, or Time Vault. It could name Mana Vault, but I'm not going to do that. We did see a Yogg-Will. Like, I could make Soul Ring into Soul Guide Lantern, but I think with 4 stock-ups in my deck, I still want some fast mana. And it's not like we can make the argument that Mana Crypt and Soul Ring cast our Stony Silence, because they don't. Okay, hand is kind of mid, but I'm going to keep it. I have turn 1 Seal of Cleansing. I can look at their hand, see what they've got going on. Probe you. We've got Tez, Will, Vault, Opal, Ruby, Flutterstrand, Urza. Alright, yeah, that's some pretty cool stuff. Emerald, Ring, Tundra, Seal. Let's park the Seal of Cleansing in play, so I can't get time vaulted. They have turn 1 Tez. Or, no they don't. They're a mana short of turn 1 Tez. Because this Opal is an Opal and not anything else. There's Ruby. There's Vault. This does turn on Opal. Do I want to interact with this? I don't think so. You've got an Opal. And I think here, I just want to draw 3 cards. Like, Frog's obviously good, but so is drawing 3 cards. And now I have Force of Negation up as well. Yeah, I could blow up Mox Ruby and take 2 mana off their board right now. But with the Tez in their hand, I just lose if that resolves and starts targeting Time Vault. But what would they have to have? I know 3 of their cards. They would have to have, in the 2 unknown cards, another Mox plus Force of Will for me to lose here. I'm actually going to blow up the Ruby. I'm going to be aggressive about this. This does open up a line where I could lose, but if I Lurrus, play Lurrus, okay, they did find exactly Jet. Do I want to fight the Jet and stick to this plan? Or I think I do. Do I want to hardcast Force off my Lotus and keep my Frog, or do I want to get Lurrus Seal of Cleansing next turn? I'm going to pitch a Frog here. Okay, this is, of course, risky. If they have another Mox, I lose. But if they don't, then their hand is garbage and doesn't do anything. All right, sweet. Looks like they're just passing. That's my turn. I drew a Tundra. I'm going to put Lurrus in my hand. Play Tundra. Cast Lurrus. Cast Seal of Cleansing. And now I can't get vaulted. Okay, we dodged the turn where some risks were taken. I could have played that safer. All right, I could blow up Mox Opal. No, I can't do that. All right, now I actually have to fight over the Time Vault. I'm glad that that Crypt wasn't in their hand last turn. I would have lost. Yeah, they could develop Urza here. Oh, Teferi. I don't like that, but okay, there it is. I don't mind any of my permanents being bounced here. That's fine. Not having counterspells is a little spooky, but Seal of Cleansing checks the scariest box that their deck puts me in. And I still know 3 other 4 cards. There's Psychic Frog for turn. I'm going to redeploy Lurrus and see if this resolves. We'll start there. And now I have the option to blow up Mana Crypt and Mox Opal. Or I could blow up Mana Crypt, Arc the Seal, or I could play Oswald and just pass. I could play Oswald, Frog, and leave Seal of Cleansing in play. That actually seems really good. Though Oswald just gets Portable Hole here. If they have a Force in their hand, I lose if I go for the double Seal line. Or Lotus doesn't cast Frog and Oswald. There's too many color requirements in the mix here. I could Treasure Cruise. I think I'm going to blow up Time Vault to be safe and go for the double Seal line. I'd rather blow up Crypt and Opal, but I guess Opal sucks if Crypt isn't in play. Okay, that's just back. And I know their hand has Yawgmoth's Will in it, which means if they draw Black Lotus, they can win. But if I hit this Crypt, then they're struggling. Like, I think hitting the Crypt is right. I've played this game really aggressively, and I'm going to stick with that. The aggro mana denial. Okay, cool. Got away with it. Do I want to change anything? I don't think so. It's really just Serenity and maybe like Soul Guide Lantern. If we get into a grindy game, we've seen Urza now. If we get into some like Urza construct game of some kind, Serenity is quite good. Soul Guide Lantern is something I can draw extra cards with off Lurrus, and it turns off Yawgwill, which has been part of both games so far. But I don't like cutting anything. It would probably just be like Soul Ring to mitigate my own Stony Silence exposure. But boarding in Soul Guide Lantern doesn't actually mitigate Stony Silence exposure. Serenity kills my own Stony Silences. Yeah, I think my deck makes sense as it's currently constructed. Force blue card, Vexing Bauble, Frog to back it up. I'll try it. Vexing Bauble on the draw is of course worse than on the play. That also comes with the risk of if they just assemble Vault Key, then I can't force to stop it. All right, now that Probe. Now they know what's coming. They know exactly what they got to beat here. Emerald. Vexing Bauble, sure. I mean, I'm not going to force that. That was my plan too. I will at some point have 3 mana for this force. Now we're both in garbage mode. And now because I have Bauble, they could just sack theirs, but if they set up some Tinker line, like if they just Tinker right now, I might be in a bunch of trouble. Tez. Alright. That can work its way up to going ultimate. Untapping the Emerald. Presumably their deck has Portable Hole in it, but I'm still gonna deploy the Frog and make them do that. This thing can pressure Planeswalkers with the best of them. Opponent's got 2 cards in hand right now. If they have to tutor a Portable Hole, I'm okay putting them in that position. Or I just lose. Alright, yeah, they just had Time Vault in their hand. Cool. GG's, that's vintage. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the play in round 4 versus Jonathan Sparks, former sponsor of the Eternal Glory podcast. and member of the BoshNRoll community. I'm going to probe, see what's going on over there. Tell me your secrets. Hey, we've got Ancestral Cruise, Forest Lotus, Frog, Brainstorm, Spell Pierce. That's a pretty good hand. That mental misstep off the top is going to be very important on this opening turn. Opponent is all in on this Black Lotus, though. There's no land, but there is a lot of protection. Yeah, I wish I had Force of Will for this, but I simply don't. Oh, draw a land anyway. Tricksy sequencing there. Dump Demonic Tutor. I'm not going to fetch because fetching turns me off of Flusterstorm temporarily. All right, we're going in my upkeep. Misstep the Ancestral. We're going to get Spell Pierced, then I'm going to Fluster the Ancestral, and I should win the fight from there. Gonna get Tundra, Fluster the Ancestral. Could still Brainstorm with this last floating mana. That's not going to beat Flusterstorm, though. Storm is already 4. You would need 5 Force of Wills. It's fun that Storm is 4 on the upkeep of turn 2 in this game. Vintage is so crazy. All right, I'm not going to pay for Mental Misstep at the end of the stack. Do you want to Brainstorm with your last mana? Yes, you do. Probably the right idea. I'm definitely Wastelanding here. I saw that hand. I know it was hurting for mana. And I'll play Mock Sapphire in case Vexing Bauble comes my way. All right, pass. Are you Brainstorm locked, or did you find a way out of this? If my opponent has a fetch land right now, they could just Treasure Cruise immediately. Wow, yeah. Oh, did they not see it, or are they not interested in it? Okay. Did not Treasure Cruise. I'm happy for that. Why wouldn't you Treasure Cruise there? Maybe you want the top card of your deck brainstormed into all good ones. Maybe you're holding up Spell Pierce. I'm going to play my Frog here, or... No, I'm not respecting Spell Pierce. I'm going to stock up. The reason to play Frog would be out of respect for Pierce. Like, if my opponent wants to force an engine either way, they have force. I can't stop that from happening. But I could play around Spell Pierce or Flusterstorm by playing Frog. All right, had it. Okay, now my opponent is going to have Frog with force backup. Yeah, that's a little disappointing, though I did have the read and didn't play around it. That's on me. Okay, I'm going to lead on Oswald and then follow up with Frog. Like, if I could get the force out of the hand and then go land Frog, that's the ideal situation. I will get that force out of this hand, one way or another this turn. All right, force pitching Daze. Wow, that's a gross card to have in this position. Fetch. Another Tundra. Frog. Okay, I know my opponent's whole hand at this point. That Brainstorm was insanely good. Uh-oh. Oh, my opponent's gonna Frog, but I have the first Frog, but we have the same number of cards in hand, which means... Oh, I could buy Lurrus and win the Frog combat. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. Unless I just draw like Portable Hole or something easy. All right, that's even better. Stock up. Time Vault, Demonic Tutor, more Psychic Frogs, Soul Guide Lantern. I'm going to put Soul Guide Lantern and additional Psychic Frog in my hand. And then I'm going to go to combat. Attack. Yeah, you can't afford to block. Trigger. Or some negation. Oh, let's make this Treasure Cruise bad. Exile Black Lotus on entry. And I'm just going to bust this immediately. I wish I could... Or no, I can't get a card. This isn't Nile Spellbomb. It's always one or the other. Perfect. That was about as good as it can be. Treasure Cruise in hand. And now we're just doing frog math back and forth at each other. But soon I'll be bifrogging. Opponent's starting with more life, but I'm starting with more cards, and I got the first attack. Mox Pearl. Alright, so probably just going to buy Lurrus here. Lurrus in the grip. Mana Crypt. That gives me Lurrus, but I don't have mana to do more with it. I'm going to attack with Frog first and see what it delivers. Frog trigger, Underground Sea. Now I could Soul Guide Lantern, but why would I? I think I'm just going to play Psychic Frog with Force of Negation still available, and as many cards as I could have in my hand. Like, I could discard Mana Crypt and then buy Lurrus, and play Mana Crypt next turn. Okay, from here, in order for my opponent to beat my Frog, they have to discard their Lurrus, and then my Lurrus can replay Frog next turn. Alright, do you want to spend your whole hand on this combat? Because I'm ready to engage. Might just decide to touch butts and move on. Alright, discard a Dig Through Time. I'll discard Mana Crypt. Alright, so we know everything right now. Spell Pierce, where the hell did that come from? Oh, did you brainstorm away the treasure cruise all that time ago? Okay, I guess that's technically legal. We didn't know everything. All right, discard Force of Negation. All right, you can discard Lurrus to win the combat, or you can just accept that we're both hellbent and your Lurrus resolves. I think I'm ahead here if I have Lurrus and my opponent doesn't. Okay, even if they do have the bigger frog. Yep, all right, Lurrus with no graveyard juice. Gross. All right, that's a good draw. I'm going to jump my little frog and attack with my large frog. Exile some random lands from my graveyard. Attack with everybody. It's not going to block. And I don't care if he does. So it's a wash. It's a win-win. A frog, trigger. Stock up, messed up. Pithing Needle, largely irrelevant. I'll stock first. Black Lotus, Treasure Cruise, Oswald Fiddlebender. A lot of these cards are good. I mean, Treasure Cruise, top of the list. And I don't think I can lose if Force of Will's in my hand. I have enough things that I can exile a Treasure Cruise without missing any of them. I can exile exactly all the spells and leave exactly all the Lurrusable permanents. Wasteland, the Underground Sea, Plow the Frog. And I think I'd rather have Mox Pearl in my hand as stats for Frog. And if I can hide that I have Manifold Key in my deck, that gives me some sideboarding advantage. If my opponent just doesn't even know I have a combo, that rules. Once I untap, I have Hardcast Force in case something like Bowmaster becomes an issue. Yeah, attack with everybody. I don't need to push this. I got plenty of life to work through this Lurrus. There's a Plow. Fetch. Underground Sea. Mox Pearl. Buy Lurrus. Play Lurrus. Play Soul Guide Lantern. Exile. I guess Dig Through Time. I don't think it matters much what I exile, but I'll take that one. Okay, I'm winning the damage race. I have more cards, more lands. I have Force Blue card to back it all up. There's not really anything that can go wrong here. Seal of Removal. That's funny. That's fine. I don't care. Like, you could bounce my bigger frog. I'm still winning. Soul Guide Lantern removes the seal next turn. This bounces one thing one time. Right, my Lurrus is in my hand. I'm just going to exile my opponent's graveyards before that seal comes back. Urza's Saga just keeps getting better. Frog's going nuts. I'm more likely to deck myself with frogs than I am to actually lose to anything my opponent's doing at this point. And neither one is particularly likely. Lurrus is back. Opponent said he's wishing that he was playing the rack, and I told him I would just dump all my cards to frog and it doesn't matter. Even like a fake card from somewhere in Magic's deep history doesn't matter here. Have it all covered. Okay, I still don't want to plow this Lurrus. Seal of Removal is interesting. That makes me think my opponent does not have white in their deck. And going through this graveyard, I don't see any indication that there is white cards. All right, I guess I'll plow the stupid Lurrus. And they've had enough. Cool. All right, we are in a Dimir Pseudo-Mirror. Plow, Fluster. Force of Negation's out. My opponent did not see any indication, or I guess there was an Oswald earlier in the game. So opponent does have some indication that I'm doing something a little weird, but didn't see Vault or Key. Though if you see Oswald, you should assume Vault. There's no other practical reason to play this card in Vintage. My opponent probably knows I have access to that. And once again, coming back to this Pithing Needle, we have all the same cards. If I name Frog early, then my frogs don't work for the rest of the game either. If I name Urza's Saga because he has his, then mine, whenever I draw it, won't work either. Wastelanding each other is part of the game. And I have more mana than the typical Lurrus deck, so I actually kind of invite the Wasteland game. If I'm going to cut Pithing Needle, though, what do I bring in? Seal of Cleansing is not without targets, but it's also not very good. Yeah, I think I just don't have another thing to bring in, and Pithing Needle's going to have to be fine. Could technically always just play one of the Force of Negations, even though it's mediocre. It will have targets. Okay. Slow, honest, grindy-ass Magic. I'm keeping. A Mox would be great. Well, not for you, for me. Like a Mox, a Soul Ring, a Mana Crypt, anything like that to get these stock-up stocking would be a welcome situation. My opponent showed me how it's done over there. This is how you play Vintage. 6 pieces of power in the deck. Here's 3 of them on turn 1. Lurrus in hand. I don't think he does this without force backup. But I mean, I'm going to force. Wow. All right, well, Lurrus is out of the game already on turn 1. We'll see what those last 3 cards in my opponent's hand are to keep playing. I did draw a Mox to turn on the juice. Demonic Tutor. Do I want Ancestral here? That's the obvious one. I could get like Swords to Plowshares and just be super careful, but respectfully F that. Ancestral Recall's in my hand. I had a coaching session yesterday with somebody who's working on Vintage Lurrus, and I treat Lurrus like plan Q. Like, I don't want Lurrus to be my game plan. Even if my opening hand does make 6 mana, I'll do other stuff, be patient, bank my Lotus. Like, I'll just chill for a very, very, very long time before I aggressively fire into losing my Lurrus too early, because this is just such a bank. We saw it in the matchup where my opponent accidentally misclicked and forgot to reveal their Lurrus. Going into the late game, I just had a bunch of stuff and they didn't. All right, Bowmaster is annoying. It's a problem to solve. That's why I didn't just fire the Ancestral. Just don't give my opponent places that they could figure out how to win this game. I have the late game inevitability locked up because I have Lurrus and my opponent doesn't. However, I do need to win the short game before that becomes the conversation we're having. Wasteland sucks every ass. All right, take out my Tundra is correct. I'm going to tutor another one here. Cycle. And a big part of this Esper Lurrus pseudo mirror is I don't have Bowmasters to pick off my opponent's Bowmasters, which means all my spells just gotta work. They can make a 3/3 construct. That's huge. I could stock up first, or I could attack first. If I attack, they get a Bowmaster trigger, but that's one extra look at Plow before I make any other decisions. I think I'm gonna stock up first. Yikes. Not ideal. I'll take Frog and Sapphire. Play the Sapphire, that gives me Flusterstorm. 3/3, 4/4, 5/5. So they're going to have 5/5s coming in. I think I need the cards here more than I need Frog on defense. I need to string together some Swords to Plowshares and stuff. Force of Will. We're past the point where that card's going to be any good. Construct. So I'm currently set to take 8 damage this turn. And these are exactly the games where having that Seal of Cleansing in the deck would give me a massive out, but if my opponent didn't have exactly Urza Saga, like you get one of those, my opponent's 11 cards into his deck. 5 times out of 6, this doesn't happen. But in exactly this position, like you just have to build your plan around the thing that's more likely to happen. Oh, that's gross. That actually cuts me off significantly. All right, I'm going to force pitching Fluster. Ouch. Yeah, that cuts me off a lot and grows the constructs. I don't want to have to care about Null Rod, and my opponent, sick read actually, seeing the Oswald game 1 and deciding to leave Null Rod in when it makes no sense in the mirror. But they've correctly identified this is not a mirror. Can I win this game? I could just Ancestral, just grip it and rip it. Hope for the best. All right, I'm going to do that. It sucks, but this is where I am. I need to find Vault Key to win this game, I think. I did find a Plow. I think it's too late. I go to 5 from Bowmaster triggers. They now have 3 5/5 creatures. I didn't draw a second white or a second blue with which to play a blocker. If I plow this construct, I still take 5 from the remaining creatures. Okay, I think I'm going to pass and hope my opponent makes an uncommitted attack. If opponent just attacks with everything, they win. If they leave back Bowmaster, I can stabilize at 1. If they play an artifact, I lose. No, don't do stuff. We're in revealed. That sucks, but it happens. Yeah, this exact same game, if this Oswald Fiddlebender was Orcish Bowmaster, I would feel okay. All right, they have correctly identified the good attack. Oh, backed it off, backed it off. Oh my god. You're saying there's a chance. Okay, so I'm going to block Orc Army. I'm going to plow Construct. And then I'm going to discard my hand. And I still lose to Fatal Push here. I can't attack with this Frog ever, or I die to Orcish Bowmaster. Okay, I'm all in. Black Lotus actually fully stabilizes me here because I get Lurrus, I get a lifelink creature, and I have the biggest creature in play. Her removal spell's really good. Oh my god. Oh my god! Okay, I am going to plow the Construct and then put Lurrus in my hand. I guess I didn't need to plow at all, but I don't want them to untap and have a useful counterspell. Alright, I can't attack. Has to block. I need to get Lurrus in the mix. I don't like my opponent's 3 cards in hand. I'm unlikely to win this game, but I am gonna do my work here. Dump to Spell Pierce. I lose to a Bowmaster, a Fatal Push. Ancestral Recall target me. Momentum Breaker. Yeah, okay. You found it. And not having Bowmasters to challenge their Bowmasters stings a lot in these mirror matches. Yeah, an opponent does have Null Rod in. That's really stupid. I don't mean it's a stupid decision that they made. I mean, it is stupid that I have to try to figure it out. Okay. I'm going to cut Mana Crypt and add Seal of Cleansing. Now that I know my opponent is on the level where Null Rod is in the deck. Okay, I'm going to make that one change. Oh wait, I like Mana Crypt more than I like Pithing Needle. We talked about Pithing Needle a lot, and I'm not bringing in my Null Rods. I want lots of artifact mana to overwhelm my opponent's resources, and I'm bringing in Answers to Null Rod. And if I assemble a Vault Loop, then Seal of Cleansing could kill my own Mana Crypt, so I don't die to that. Wowie zowie, look at these vintage cards. I will keep Ruby, Tundra, Sapphire. My opponent will not have Mindbreak Trap in their deck right now. So if I could bluff Spell Piercer, Flusterstorm, make them think about forcing this Oswald, that's value for the sequencing there. Luda Delta. Basic Swamp, that can't be good for Oswald. Fetching Basic Swamp is a big sign of weakness, though. Swamp is such a terrible land to cast the vintage spells in your deck, the Ancestral Recalls, the Psychic Frogs, all those things, and a person fetching this just must be really scared of Wasteland. I didn't cycle Lorien in the end step because I didn't want to tap out of Fatal Push, or tap out of bluffing Flusterstorm on Fatal Push. Opponent does have it, though. Vexing Bauble, right on time. Okay, I'm going to play Vexing Bauble, and then I'm going to cycle Lorien Revealed, and I'm going to get this Time Vault into play. Okay, this was a sick Vexing Bauble. Who knows how many forces are in that hand. If my opponent jams Null Rod right now, I even have the hole to put it in. Or Psychic Frog or Bowmaster. I mean, all the permanents by law in their deck must be holeable. Well, Momentum Breaker will discard the boardable hole. That's one workaround. Let's just top deck Demonic Tutor and win the game. How about a Time Vault win? I'm not going to skip this turn. Black Lotus. Well, that one's not as good as I want it to be. I'll bank Lurrus for now. I could sack the Vexing Bauble and go for it, but I did all this work to turn off Force of Will. 3 mana over there. Speed is 1. Psychic Frog. I will put that in my pee hole. I guess I need to draw a black or white mana before that's true. Bummer. Okay, I have options though. I can resolve Lurrus, then crack Vexing Bauble, and then play Portable Hole off of Black Lotus. They will not be able to Fatal Push. Alright, yeah. This is what we do. White, black, red, Lurrus. Draw a card. Land. Soul Ring. Black Lotus. Portable Hole. Am I more worried about the frog? I could also just put Oswald into play and threaten lethal. Well, they draw 1 card. If I play Oswald... Yeah, okay, I'm actually going to go for Oswald. I'm just going to put lethal on the board. Make them do it. Make them do something. Pass. They're really far away from looping this Momentum Breaker. They're 10 mana away from that happening. 4 cards in hand. We know they don't have Swords to Plowshares, so if they Fatal Push Oswald, we can present that same thing again next turn. No, the double momentum! That's fucked up. Alright, now I'm way behind and I need a tutor immediately. Alright, Tutor for Key is my out here. A removal spell gives me a bunch of extra time, but now I'm down Lurrus and they're not. I hate Flooded Strand. All my homies hate Flooded Strand. I'm gonna play it. It'll thin my deck, and every tiny percentage matters right now. Strip Mine, whatever. Yeah, Frog going nuts. I'm in trouble. Like a Null Rod is bad here. Lurrus is gone. Their frog's way ahead of mine if I draw one. I just can't win a frog fight anymore. Time Walk. Outrageous. Yeah, sacking a Momentum Breaker, I would have done the same thing. It's not helping in play anymore. The passive life gain is whatever. But getting in the graveyard helps Lurrus, helps Treasure Cruise, helps dig through time. Mox Pearl. Treasure Cruise, yep. That's the card I said. Discarding Spell Pierce. You might as well get that damage. Spell Pierce is not going to help this game. I'm in a pretty stupid position here that despite having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana in play, Strip Mine actually does take me off a color if I fetch proactively, which is why I played the fetch in the first place. Cycling Warren revealed. Underground Sea. Another frog. Okay, opponent has tapped out, which means I have a window here to fetch, and I need one big draw. I have to assume that they have Force of Will in their hand, but I have to play like they don't. All right, I've lost. GG's. I put them to the test of you have to have 2 removal spells in play, and one of them has to kill Lurrus all at once, and they passed the test. The alternative there was playing the Portable Hole instead of Oswald, and then there's no frog, but my Lurrus is still dead. In retrospect, if I knew my opponent's hand was 2 removal spells, the Portable Hole is much better, because at least I have Time Vault inevitability here. Like, somewhere in my deck is a card that wins on the spot, and my opponent doesn't have anything going on. But in the moment where it was, I'm fairly confident you don't have a counter spell, and you need 2 removal spells, and blue-black is not particularly good at killing Lurrus. Like, they have to go through hoops to Fatal Push her. I like the play I made. It just did not work out this time. All right. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in the final round. Positive record on the line. Hand is awesome. My opponent does not have a Lurrus. I am just going to send this Ancestral on my turn. I'm going to go Mox Sapphire, Ancestral Recall, and then see what I draw. I won't go to discard because I have 7 cards in hand. The Tundra, oh, okay. They are initiative. And luckily, I've played around it. Okay, Tundra, Mox Sapphire. I will pay the Troll Toll. And I'm going to Ancestral right now, because if I hit some more Mox in, I'd rather have them than not have them. All right, missing there kind of hurts. But I do have a bunch of plows. If they just wasteland me, I don't like that. Mana Crypt. I will counter any 2-mana object out of this whole deck. Like Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, whatever. I'm taking it. Whether they have Cavern of Souls or not, I don't care. I'm countering Mana Crypt if I can. Okay, they have Caracas Pearl. That land was a big draw. Okay, Island, I'm happy to have. Portable Hole is Wasteland here. And whatever, let's get this Time Vault in the mix. Okay, cool. Yeah, just attack their mana. They can't play the game. They don't want to play anymore. Love it. White Initiative. Now we're on the draw against them. Seal of Cleansing can blow up like Null Rods, Void Mirrors, Vexing Baubles, their mana. I'm interested in that. Consign to Memory, interested in that. Pithing Needle doesn't have anything I care about. Flusterstorms, no good at all. Mental Misstep. They do have Swords to Plowshares and Vexing Bauble and Soul Ring. I think I can live without that. Force of Negation on the draw to attack their mana can be pretty important. Vexing Bauble comes out on the draw. I'll bring it back in on the play. Misstep's out. With a bunch of Swords to Plowshares and Frogs playing to the board is pretty reasonable. All right, Soul Guide Lantern. Doesn't matter. And here we go. This is my plan. This matchup's much better on the play, of course. Even more than normal matchups. Oh, wow, this hand's bad. I'm going to mulligan this. Which is a shame, because on the play, I would keep it real fast. Just sending the stock up before they get to do anything. Getting the lands or the mana in before they can pinch it. Opponent kept 7. That's bad. All right, I will keep this one. And I think I have to bottom Mox Jet. It's Mox Jet or it's Wasteland. If my plan is to deny their mana, then I should keep the Wasteland. Okay, I'm bottoming Jet. My white cards are more important than my black ones here. They don't have a Chancellor. Chrome Mox is worth 1 mana. and cost 2 cards. The next Mox or fast mana they play, I will force them negation. If they follow this up with Ancient Tomb and just play a creature, you got me. Exiled, March of Otherworldly Light. All right, Ancient Tomb. They had it all. This will probably name Ancestral Recall, unless they are worried about the Wasteland. I guess Ancestral and Wasteland are both reasonable names here. Okay, Ancestral it is. In that case, I am going to Wasteland. Attacking mana is my job. I'm going to play Mox Pearl despite them showing me March of Otherworldly Light because they have a lot of ways to turn off a Mox Pearl. 2 mana over there. Swords to Plowshares is a 4 of. Black Source gets me Frog. Oswald is a creature that I can just put into play. I like that. They have the Cavern now. Whatever happens, happens from here. The chosen card type is Archon. I wonder what that could be. Yep, there's that one. 1 spell per turn. I can cast Ancestral Recall this turn. All right, I'm going to flip Pearl into Soul Ring. I'm going to Ancestral myself. And hope I hit a land drop. Cool. There's a Saga, pretty good land drop. Swords of Plowshares, good one to find. We're making it happen here. We're doing stuff. We're under a lot of pressure, but the game is afoot. Down to 9. It's really about how much follow-up they have. If they keep piling on here, that's a problem. Clarion Conqueror. That one's not good for me. Wasteland, no! All right, yeah. I think I could have worked through the Clarion Conqueror, but not with the Wasteland. The Plow is action. All right, yeah, we're dead. GG. Now we get to be on the play. Vexing Bauble comes back in. Force of Negation comes out. I think that's the only change I'm going to make. Okay, let's do it. Okay, on the play, I get to Ancestral before they do anything. I will keep this. I'm going to Polluted Delta and pass. As much as I'd like to have this Soul Ring in play, I'd rather Ancestral. Mox Pearl resolves Wasteland. Vexing Bauble. I don't really want that card to be in play, but I think I can play through it. All right, it resolves. I'm going to have to get basic Island here. Ancestral myself. Psychic Frog. I could go right into that. That Frog's really good. All right, I'm going to just plant my Frog in play here. Frog also turns these Force of Will and Mana Crypt into real cards with the damage and the size. If they take time wasting or plowing here, that's time I get to develop my other stuff I've got going on. An Archon of Emeria is okay here, but I can smash through that one. Clarion Conqueror turns off Frog, but then dies to Plow, and I get to work. Anointed Peacekeeper can name Psychic Frog, but then it just gets plowed. They can't just introduce the initiative here. They will die immediately. A Cavern on Archon. This could deny me white mana for a really long time. But Frog's going to be doing its job here. It's taking chunks out of the opponent. Oh, this is Cavern on Archon, but they did not make Cavern mana. They're daring me to Force of Will. That's actually really funny. If they put Cavern on Archon, then cast it without Cavern mana because they have Vexing Bauble in play, that's a sick little Magic Online level system. Oh, this is not what they're casting. Oh, they're casting that one. Sure. Well, can't stop it. Okay. Is there something to Vamp Tutor for that gets me out of this? Like Vamp for Seal of Cleansing, maybe? Right, upkeep, Vamp Tutor. I got my whole deck accessible to me here. Seal of Cleansing blowing up the Vexing Bauble is actually pretty good. Because that unlocks Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Force of Will out of my hand. I could even buy Lurrus right now. It sucks not using this on a combo piece, but like I was saying in the deck tech all those hours ago, we're not very good at just having access to a combo piece. Yeah, I think Seal of Cleansing is the one. Right, Tundra, Seal, blow up the Vexing Bauble, Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Lurrus, Force of Will's back online for anything except an Archon. Mox Sapphire. Yeah, help them with their own hand a little bit. Archon leaving up the Wasteland takes me off white. Yep, can't be countered. Oh, they went for black. That's good news. Now Swords to Plowshares is good. All right, plow your Archon. Stock up Seize more. And makes Treasure Cruise cheaper if I do it in this order. That's a brick. No blue sources anywhere in 5 cards. Well, that stinks. I guess I'm taking Force of Will and Oswald. Demonic Tutor becomes quite good with a black source. And it's definitely Force. And then I think I want the Demonic. I think that'll just be better. And my plan is to Treasure Cruise next turn. What are the chances I see 10 cards in a row without a black source? Peacekeeper. I'm forcing almost anything here because we're on the thin line right now where one of us is going to pull way ahead. Okay, Treasure Cruise. I'll start there. It basically doesn't matter what I exile as long as it's not Seal of Cleansing. And look at me successfully missing on that many consecutive black sources. But okay. My opponent said GG's. Really? We're still playing. I have a Mana Crypt in play. Okay, well, I think that game was more competitive than they think it was, but I will take the classic vintage player scoop. Okay, positive record with this deck. I gotta say, I did not like where this deck landed. It felt like most of the games I was just playing as if I was Esper Lurrus control, except I had multiple complete blanks in my deck, like Time Vault, Manifold Key. Oswald had a couple moments where it was cool, but when I'm just getting crushed by a single Orcish Bowmaster in a pseudo mirror where I don't have Bowmasters to answer them back, when I'm getting dumpstered by a proper Time Vault combo deck that's dedicated to doing that while I have like Swords to Plowshares and Portable Hole and Soul Guide Lantern in my deck, that feels bad. It becomes a specific middle ground where you want to be able to be a control deck, but also want to work towards a combo endgame. And I feel like that one game against Sparks where I had Time Vault in play and I had 2 or 3 turns where it was like, come on, Manifold Key, come on, Demonic Tutor, come on, Draw Spell that could help me find these things. Like, there was a Hail Mary chance of ripping the perfect card to win a game that I was not going to win otherwise. That game did exist, but I feel like I'm not in that spot if I don't have Time Vault and Oswald in my deck. Like, if those were just Orcish Bowmasters instead, that game is completely different, and I don't have to spike the out to combo win. I do think Oswald has a spot in this metagame, like some sort of Esper Tezzeret Turbo Vault deck, where you have like Oswald on 2, Tezzeret on 3, a million lines to Time Vault. I think that deck is out there for anyone who wants to build it and tune it. But I don't think trying to make a Time Vault deck out of a Lurrus deck is where you want to be right now, especially with Tezzeret in the metagame now. Like, Lurrus has PO if you want to be combo. Lurrus has Dimir and Esper if you want to be control. Lurrus also has Breach if you want to be combo. And I think Time Vault is now the property of decks that don't get to play Lurrus. Even though technically we can do this, and this isn't like a poorly constructed, embarrassing deck by any means. It's full of vintage cards and it's got a powerful win the game combo. I just don't think we're that good at assembling the combo. And it's not worth the squeeze of what it costs to get it in the deck. That's my final ruling on this one. Pick a side, be control or be Time Vault combo. Both of them have really good shells that are established already. And this one landing in the middle, I think it's just a little bit worse at doing both. Well, it's a lot worse at being a Time Vault deck, and it's a little bit worse at being a Lurrus deck. And the Time Vault angle doesn't compensate for what we lose from our Lurrus deck to get it. Lots of sweet games played, though. Gobi, thank you for sending this in. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.